problem. We're ready to go. Welcome, everyone. Regular meeting of council, Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Inca, Kappa, and Silk people. Late items. I have one late item. 6.2 has been removed from the agenda. Just need a motion to remove it. Councillor Petrosi, Councillor Etchart. Any questions on that? Those in favor? Opposed? Removed. Thank you. Any public input? No public input. Thank you. 4.1, adoption of minutes, regular council meeting minutes, January 14th, 2025. Recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on January 14th, 2025 be adopted. Councillor Baxter, Councillor Etchart. Any errors or omissions? We're all looking at you, Councillor Charney. Nope. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 5, public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive input from the community and staff on the proposed bylaws as outlined in the notice of public hearing. The public hearing is being convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act. The public hearing is being held in an in-person format, and members of council, staff, and the public are participating in person. Council will use the established speakers list. At the end of the speakers list, the chair may call on speakers from the audience. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to address council for a first time and should begin remarks to council by stating their name and address. After everyone who wishes to speak has spoken once, speakers will then be allowed an additional 5 minutes, a 5-minute presentation. Any additional presentation will only be allowed at the discretion of the chair. Please do not repeat information from your previous presentation and ensure your comments remain focused on the bylaws under consideration this evening. If a written submission has been provided, there is no need to read it as it will have already been seen by council. It can be summarized, ensuring that the comments are pertaining to the bylaws under consideration at this hearing. All members of the audience are asked to be respectful of one another and diverse opinions are expressed. Council wishes to hear everyone's views in an open and impartial forum. Council is here to listen to the public, not to debate the merits of the bylaws. Council may ask clarifying questions. The corporate officer has a binder containing documents and submissions related to the bylaws, which council has received and which members of the public are welcome to view. Everyone at the hearing will be provided an opportunity to speak. If necessary, the hearing will continue on a second night. At the conclusion of the public input, council may request further information from staff, which may or may not require an extension of the hearing. Or council may close the hearing, after which council should not receive further new information from the public, and the public hearing is being streamed live over the internet and recorded in accordance with the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. I will now ask the corporate officer to introduce the bylaws. CO.
Thank you, Your Worship. The public hearing tonight is for 2 bylaws. One is the official community plan amendment bylaw 2383, and the other one is the zoning amendment bylaw 2384. All of the statutory requirements for this public hearing have been met through the notice in the newspaper. As well, the city clerk's office has not received any correspondence at this time in regards to the public hearing.
Thank you. We will have introduction, presentation by staff. Mr. Shiming Hung will present our planner. I will get you to hit that button in front of you there and I'll turn you on. You are good to go, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the applicant for this property seeks to change the OCP designation from future development to light industrial use, and for the rezoning from comprehensive development 1 to residential to M1 light industrial. This will allow for future light industrial developments at 1101 Midday Valley Road in the Middlesbrough sector. The specific uses are currently undetermined since we have not received a development permit for this site. Staff has sent for referrals. LNIB noted the archaeological potential for the site, and that has been shared with the applicant. No other major concerns from internal or external agencies were noted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representations from the public. This is where I call for a first time. So I will call for a first time. If anyone has anything to present at this public meeting, now would be the time. Step up to the mic and we'll hear what you have to say. I'll call for a second time. Anyone that has anything to say during this public meeting, now would be the time. And call for a third time. Same thing. Okay. Questions from council? Any questions from council on this? Council resolution that recommend that council receives this report as information. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Proposed resolution at the end of the public hearing, so that the January 28th, 2025 public hearing regarding bylaws 2383 and 2384 is closed. And that official community plan amendment bylaw number 2383-2024 and zoning amendment bylaw number 2384-202 are returned to council for further consideration. Yep. Councilor Richard, Councilor Petrosi, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, moving on. General matters delegation recommended Walk of Stars. You are up. Coming to the mic at this evening is.
I'm a director on the Walk of Stars. There was a presentation made for the to put a collage of stars up in Gasoline Alley with a kiosk that replicates the digital sign kiosk. And I've provided council asked for pictures. So we got pictures of what it would look like and how the picnic tables would fit around it.
So, Melvina, this is great and everything. We've kind of, Chris and I and Ron have sat up there and we've talked a little bit about it. And I'm assuming this is just kind of the first step as we move forward in the design. And I think the next step that has to come with this is the fact that the city has to be on board with the project moving forward.
Yes.
So I think what we probably need, and if somebody wants to jump in and correct me, we probably would need to see some extensive like diagrams, kind of like what we went through with the sign with TNV,
Okay.
and start moving in that direction so we can see, because we would have to kind of give up dispossession of the land so it can be used and we can move forward with it. So we would need to see funding structure, how it's all going to go, et cetera, kind of like exactly what happened with the TNV sign.
Okay.
So that's kind of the next step that we would see, because as far as the community and the rebranding of the Walk of Stars, I think council's made it quite clear we're behind that whole rebranding situation. It's just now what we need to, I mean, this is great, but we need a lot more than this. We need actual how it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, funding, et cetera. That's where we need to go with that.
Well, we
So,
have a grant for that.
Okay.
So
but
that,
sure, and that's kind of what we all need to see.
okay, so can we use the drawings from the digital sign concept of that? It would have all the,
CFO, see. Oh, sorry, my mistake.
I would press the button. So no, because this is gonna be a different weight. The weight of it needs to be re-engineered to meet the requirements of what this is gonna weight bear. Right? There's a difference between the weight of the digital sign and the weight of this, and we don't know what that is. So if this is heavier than the digital sign, it's going to need to be re-engineered. And so that would have to be done. We can, I think what we kind of determined from the last process is that we can start working through the development process and the land disposition process at the same time if council gives us direction to move forward with that process, because we would have to go to a land disposition bylaw.
yeah.
And again,
I did come and ask all these questions. That's why I brought what I brought.
Yeah. So we definitely are going to need now that, if council's interested in moving this forward, which they can't make a decision about tonight, they will have to give us direction at another meeting. So we could probably bring that to the February 11th meeting for direction from council. If this is something council is interested in seeing us pursue, and then we would have to look at new design as well as doing all of the development permits and those people, the downstairs people, getting those through them, and well as the disposition of land bylaw. So
Okay.
that would be the process.
See what's up here. Counselor Baxter.
So all the funding will be done by you guys.
Yes,
So none of this will be on the taxpayers of Merritt.
no,
And so according to your drawings, you'll max out at 16 stars.
they're on both sides, I believe, are they not? Pardon? 20,
So there's 20 stars gonna be in total on the board.
yeah.
Counselor Charney.
I know that there are a lot of steps to go through, but I do really like the design. I think it's very attractive. And if it gets approved, I think it'll be a great addition to the entrance to Merritt.
Sir, Richard.
My only question was, I thought that if we were doing anything signed like that, it would be on a lease in case we ever change the design up at the top of the hill.
Well,
So
that
if
would all
we-
be part of the situation, right?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering, because if ever, say we had to redesign for an overpass or something to connect to the other side of the highway, I was just wondering what the limitations would be that way, what the impact would be.
Excuse me. This isn't a participation event. Then if you can't be quiet, I'll have to ask you to leave. It's not a participation event. Thank you. CFO or CEO.
Yeah, so there's a significant process, like we will have to determine if there's other uses that are supposed to be meant to be happening for this land under the OCP. You know, we have a lot of processes. We have to make sure it's not gonna need to be approved by MODI or Ministry of Transportation now. You know, there's a whole process involved in this that we're gonna have to deal with. I think it's really important to Councillor Baxter's point, Mr. Mayor, that the installation does not appear to have any cost to the residents. However, we don't have any idea about maintenance costs in the extended time. So does this remain an asset of the Walk of Stars, and will they be upkeeping it, and what is their plan for that over the next? Because it does appear to be wood,
Yes.
so it'll need to possibly be restained. I don't know if there's special types of materials they're gonna use. They don't have to do that kind of maintenance, but those are the kinds of things that could lead to costs to the residents down the road.
That was the second half of my question that I was wondering about.
It's identical to the digital sign. The materials and everything are identical to the digital sign.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, because a lot of traffic is designed to actually pull in through there. If somebody has an accident or something, or drives into the sign with their motorhome or something.
There's picnic tables there right now.
Don't
So they're-
underestimate,
they're
don't
gonna run people
underestimate
over
summer
if they drive in
traffic.
there.
I've seen crazy things at work, so. But as long as we're, because I was just wondering about the cleaning, because I know a few years ago there was a discussion about cleaning some of the signs that were older and stuff like that, so I guess.
Well, they're all being refurbished as we speak, so.
Yeah, because I just want to make sure, I think in past when we did murals for the murals on the side of buildings and stuff like that, it was just concerning about what if something happens to it or somebody decides to paint over something. That wouldn't happen here, but just. No,
I think that will all be covered as we move along through the process.
thanks.
I think council is, we're behind the branding, so it's a good first step. I think the design is great. I think it looks great. I think it's a great idea. So the next steps will be us to move forward and make it happen.
Okay, so what is the next step? To get the drawing, or what are we doing here?
Well, it's like building a house. You don't just show up with lumber.
I've
You gotta
never
go-
built
you gotta-
one.
You gotta get your permits. You gotta get everything set.
Also, ultimately, council cannot make a decision at this meeting, so we'll
No.
have to come back as a resolution in the next meeting. If council should pass that resolution, then you have to start doing the development process. And so you would meet with our development services staff and make sure you have the appropriate paperwork and that you're providing the appropriate documentation. We don't, we don't know what you're gonna need until we have a bit more information about the site and what's happening, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it. 8.1. But no, we don't, 6.2 is crossed off. 8.1, official community plan amendment bylaw number 2383-2024 and zoning amendment bylaw number 2384-2024. Recommendation that council read official community plan amendment bylaw number 2383-2024 a third time. Councilor Petrosi, Councilor Baxter. Any questions? Comments? Those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation that council read zoning amendment bylaw number 2384-2024 a third time. Councilor Baxter, Councilor Etcher, any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Subdivision Development Servicing Bylaw number 2381-2024. Recommendation that council gives first reading to the City of Merritt Subdivision and Development Servicing Bylaw number 2381-2024. Councilor Petrosi, Councilor Etchart, any questions on this one? Those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation that council gives second reading to the City of Merritt Subdivision and Development Services Bylaw number 2381-2024. Councilor Baxter, Councilor Petrosi, any questions? Put your mic on.
It's the 2381-2024, correct?
2381-2024, yes.
Okay, I just have a question because I'm not informed of this and I don't know how the procedure works. It says this may be amended at the discretion of the city's chief administrative officer in accordance with best practices and in the interest of the city. Is this standard provincial practice that's that every community, their CEO has the discretion where they can go in and change these arbitrarily?
So what, we're not changing the bylaw, what we would
No.
be changing is the standards. So we can, when we see that there's something that will work better for a certain situation that may not meet that standard, then yes, we can change it without having to bring it to council because it is a technical document.
Okay, so solely technical, so nothing that will impact how the bylaw is carried out?
No. So if the director of public works and engineering came to me and said, you know what, we have this different thing that's a different pipe size. This is being proven to work better. We'd like to incorporate it in technical standards, then we make that adjustment.
Okay, so you have the authority to do that. You don't have to bring it to council.
Yeah, it's to keep it as a living document to make sure we're doing the best work we can with new and emerging innovative changes.
Okay, and then I have a second question. A developer pays approach. How does this work? Like they just, is that just normal? That's the standard procedure of the developer pays the money for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's nothing new. I just wondered
No.
why it was in quotes, a developer pays.
It's just the
Okay,
term that's used.
okay, so I
in-
thought
in
it
the
was
industry.
something new for this, so it's
No.
not.
No,
Okay, so that was my question. Questions.
Thank you. Councilor Etchart.
There's a lot of information in this bylaw, and I think the biggest thing that I have questions for people is how about residents in established neighborhoods? Because I know that Merritt has the community for downtown as some different neighborhoods, because now we have 15 different areas. Because I know that there was one resident even near downtown that paid for a building permit and then they had a development permit that was all issued. And so it's not really clear to why somebody in a residential neighborhood would have to pay for all these permits. And in a residential neighborhood, like I can understand commercial development in the Colchena area where there's houses, but in established neighborhoods on Merritt Avenue where it's residential, to build a residential garage, why they would have to pay a development permit plus a building permit fee.
I will bring up somebody with, I want to answer it and I know the answer, but he's going to answer it better.
You're on.
Thank you, Your Worship. The general idea with all these development permits is we have certain development permit areas. So it might be a floodplain restriction, it might be a geotechnical, which is why we would require permits from somebody just building a garage in a certain area, and residential is no different than anywhere else.
See,
It's a new building in an area that has known requirements to prove out specific things as it relates to floodplain, as it relates to geotechnical. Council has passed the development permit areas in previous settings for
yeah,
these things to occur.
but I think when council had approved that in the past, it was intended for, commercial buildings in those development areas. Whereas I'm wondering why we have these permits for residential. Like, I do understand that there's some areas right beside the commercial downtown zoning, but
Yeah.
That's.
it just seems like it seems like we're charging a lot.
And
for-
it's not even so much about the charging, it's a matter of, we want to make sure we're flowing in the direction of the official community plan, that we're following the regulations correctly, and that we don't saddle the city necessarily without some scrutiny of, another 70 or 90-year structure when there's different plans for the area that it may not fit within. It's largely a scrutiny thing. And then also making sure that the specific technical aspects of it are being followed.
But couldn't that be dealt with in the building permit? Like, I
No.
mean, I just don't see why we have to have two permits for residential.
Yes,
So,
take a crack at it, yeah.
yeah, sorry. So when someone does a building permit, that is simply for the building, right? The development permit is the extension of the property. So for instance, we have a residence that was built in a place where there is a spring in the yard. And that spring waters the road on a hill. Right? And so if a development permit was not issued in that situation or not required in that situation, there probably was no evaluation of the appropriateness of building a house in that location. Right? So if you have an aquifer or underground spring, or you have, a slide risk, or you have any of those things, those are the things we're talking about in regards to geotechnical. So a building permit is just the building. The development permit is for the areas where we know there's areas of concern, or that we need to make sure that they're following a general plan for, safety, appropriateness in that neighborhood, ensuring that there's no environmental effect, those sorts of things. So whether it's commercial or residential is irrelevant. It's the building and how that building will be impacted or could impact that area.
This is very.
Sorry, this is very standard across municipalities. We're not inventing anything new.
I think the only complaint that I had from public in the past was getting a clear answer at the time was tough. And this was even before Mr. Green was here. Because I've had this question for a long time and it's gone unanswered for a long time. And so I just think it's worth having a discussion about, because I've had people come and ask about permits and say, like, I had the building permit, which there's no issue with that. It was just a development permit in the development area because it's near the downtown. It's in or it was R1 zoning, and now it's R2 because it's on Merritt Avenue. But it just seems like a lot. And at the time, there was just not a lot of clear answers. So worth discussing.
Yep, the goal of the department lately has been very much open door and to help people on these things and to provide clarity. It may not have been that way, even through staff shortages, whatnot over time, but we are equipped right now to help guide people through these processes. Staff has been providing little fact sheets that we keep at the front door now. So every time a new issue comes up, we've had to walk somebody through, new fact sheet made, so it's real easy to hand people stuff to help guide them through the process. But we're working towards making this easier now that we have a full complement of staff able to work with people. Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation that council gives third reading to the City of Merritt Subdivision and Development Servicing Bylaw number 2381-2024. Councilor Petrosi, Councilor Etchart, any further questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. New business. 9.1 remedial action requirement unsightly property at 1990 Houston Street. Recommendation, whereas Section 74 of the Community Charter, SBC 2003 C26, the Community Charter, authorizes council for the City of Merritt, the city, to impose a remedial action requirement on the owner or occupier of land in relation to the declared nuisance. And whereas Clive Boris Hack, the owner, is the registered owner of the following property: 1990 Houston Street, PID 004980948, Lot A, Block 144, Plan KAP 717, District Lot 123, Kamloops, Division of Yale Land District of Lot 1. And whereas the Council for the City of Merritt have received and reviewed the staff report dated December 20th, 2024 in relation to the property, the report. Now therefore, the Council of the City of Merritt resolves the following: that based on information contained in the report and pursuant to Section 74 of the Community Charter, the following items or materials which are kept outside on the property, including in any area which is under a roof but is in part open to the outside, are hereby declared to be a nuisance: trailers, campers, boats, tires, ladders, chains, tarps, tents, piles of wood and lumber, assorted tools and machinery, rubbish including but not limited to buckets, containers, plastic materials, wood pallets, cardboard, garbage bags, shelves, gym equipment, metals including but not limited to bike parts, fire pits, propane tanks, and scrap metal, and other discarded materials, the nuisance materials. And two, that pursuant to Section 72 of the Community Charter, the owner is hereby required to remove the nuisance materials from the property, the remedial action requirement. That the owner must complete the remedial action requirement within 60 days after the notice of this resolution is given to the owner. That if the remedial action requirement is not completed within the deadline set on paragraph 3 of this resolution, the city and its agents, contractors, or employees may pursuant Section 17 of the Community Charter undertake any or all of the actions necessary to fulfill the remedial action requirement at the expense of the owner, and such actions may include disposing of the nuisance materials in a landfill. And 5, that the city may recover from the owner of all of the city's costs the City of Merritt incurred by fulfilling the remedial action requirements as a debt or as a property tax on the properties pursuant to Section 258, 259 of the Community Charter. Oh, Seal.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a remedial action requirement that's before you tonight. As such, this is a quasi judicial process. The proponent or the property owner, Mr. Hack, is here tonight. As part of the process, he's afforded an opportunity to speak, to be able to provide input. The resolution that's before you is a staff one. It's completely up to council to make a decision as to which avenue they would like to, or what they would like to do going forward on this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Hack, please come forward. I'll get you to push the button right in front of you there and I'll turn you on there. You're up.
Yep. I just recently bought the property and I just getting all the stuff, my stuff scattered here, there, and everywhere. Got it on the property and yeah, I've got it. Go through it all, but until you do it all, I'm gonna put a screening up on the fence. I got a 6-foot chain link fence. I'm gonna put screening with Canadian flags and so that privacy, so that we can see in the yard until I get the stuff done.
So I think what you'll find, Mr. Hack, is that council and the city are very willing to work with you on this.
Yep, okay.
Um,
I'm willing to work with it.
Yep,
Whatever I have to do.
You've got 60 days,
Yep.
2 months.
Yep.
And I think as long as we can see, I mean, I know you do this for other people in the community.
Yep.
And I know you do.
Yep.
I know you're good at it.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that within 60 days, we'll probably have it completely covered.
Yep. Sounds good.
Seal.
Sorry, I just want to clarify some of the comments that you made, completely covered or removed from the property.
No,
Removed from the property.
Removed from the property.
Because the screening fence is one thing, but there are several things here that are significant fire risks.
When I
So
meant covered, I meant taken
Dealt
care
with.
of.
dealt-
yes.
Taken care of.
Dealt
Okay,
with.
so removed from the property.
Removed
Thank
from the
you.
Well,
property.
yeah, the wood is not going anywhere. The wood is, well, the price of wood nowadays, and I'm, just let me finish, just let me finish.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm rebuilding the plan, it's an old place, okay, and I'm rebuilding, and I've got plans for it. And I plan to use this wood, like, and this wood, I've got to contracts myself, doing work for other people. And there's no way I'm getting rid of the wood will be stacked properly, and any junk is there. The one trailer is gone, as you can see, it's parked out in the road. And I had a hard time getting rid of these people, and I'm not gonna tell you like why or whatever, but I had a hard time getting rid of these people. And I finally got rid of them, okay, the trailer's out of my yard. And there was one trailer left, motor, fifth wheel. Trailer, like, and that is, it's pristine condition, and it's not going anywhere. It's not unsightly, it's a beautiful, beautiful trailer.
So
But all the junk will be removed.
Hold on a second.
So if I may,
Yeah.
so the process will be that further inspection will happen. However, the trailer that's been removed from the property is on the public road
Yeah,
and is unregistered.
it's not,
And is your responsibility because you had it moved from your property to the public road. So you will have to deal with that and get
I'll
that
do it.
off the public road
I'll get
within
it
that
done.
60
Yep.
days as well, or
Yep.
that
Okay.
will be attached to
Okay,
your property
sure.
taxes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anything else? Anything?
That's it.
Okay, thank
You guys have a
you.
good evening. Thanks.
Yeah, hold on a sec, Clive. Come back. Counselor Charney.
I just had a question with regards to your 6-foot fence chain link. Or
Right.
in a residential area, clarify please, CAO, a 6-foot fence I don't think is allowed on the frontage of a property.
The other project on the side.
Okay, so you're not putting the chain link fence
not
on the
putting
frontage.
It would be a 3-foot chain link on the front. That's coming, that's coming up here.
Okay, thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hold on. Yep. Yeah, any other questions? So I'll need to move her. Counselor Charney, Counselor Petrosi, Counselor Baxter.
One of these pictures shows that you've had a chimney fire in the past.
Oh, yeah, not me. I haven't had any chimney fire. I was burnt out. I was arson. In May.
So has our fire chief inspected it to make sure it's
It's
safe?
all been done. It's all- No,
Any other questions from Mr. Heck?
great.
Thank you. Clive. Can I get you to push the button? Oh, sorry. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Clive. Appreciate it. Development, moving on, development variance permit, 1840 Nicola Avenue. Recommendation that council grants development permit variance permit 2024-006 to vary section 4.14.4A of the zoning bylaw 2284-2020 to allow for increased fence of 1.83 meter height between front parcel line and front building line instead of the permitted 1.25 maximum at 1840 Nicola Avenue. Councillor Etcher, Councillor Baxter. And this, you've all seen where this is, I'm quite sure. Okay. Any questions on Councillor Charney?
First of all, this is commercial zoned. Or is it commercial zoning? Okay. I do have an issue with the 6-foot fence on the front, especially with the barbed wire. I think it's unsightly, and I think that Mr. Green can attest that a 6-foot fence, even with barbed wire, is not going to stop anybody from entering the property. All they do is cut the fence and go through that way. They're not climbing over the fence. They're going through the fence. So I don't think it matters what height it is. For example, our car dealership has numerous vehicles. There is no fence around there. If they want to have a fence, then I think an electric on the top is more acceptable than the barbed wire. They already have numerous cameras. And so if there is an issue, that they would be able to see them from there. So I do have an objection to this. And as I said, I don't think the fencing is a deterrent to people entering the property where the cars are stored.
Councillor Baxter.
I don't mind them having a fence. I'm just worried about the screening, like from the roadway as you're driving past. It looks like a compound. Is there any way we can screen it so it doesn't look as much as a
I think that would be up to the owners to do. I'm not sure if there's a plan for that or not. I don't know, but that would be totally up to them. Krisha, you have something you need to say? Come up to the mic, please. Might as well get this out of the way here.
Thank you, Your Worship. So it's an institutional zone, and because it's in the city center, this development required a development permit. Now, the reason why they are putting the barbed wire fence is they want to have the protection, and that's their call. And if we have seen that property, they've already installed the fence, and this variance is coming after the fact. Now, the variance is the reason why we want them to be in compliance. If the council is of the opinion that a barbed wire fence is not all right, then maybe it can be conveyed to the applicant. But I don't think electric fence is an option because it's security risk for the community. So, of course, then it's a decision that the council would be able to take. But yeah, or the sideline issue and the visibility concern, because this fence is lined with the neighboring property. If we can open the map on page 2 of the report. On the report. So if you open the report, first.
Sorry for disruption.
Not your fault.
Second. So if we see the map here, the fence starts well behind the required setback even. So, and it is
Bishop,
in line.
let's just wait a minute here.
Oh.
Let's just wait.
Yeah. Sometimes I see them at work in the parking lot. That's why now I put near the door at night, just because you have your arms full and then you don't know what you encounter at work. Yeah. But, yeah. 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 I see it a lot by the buildings by my work. So. It's the most vocal I've heard them though. To a person.
That's a one place.
Sorry, I had to miss the tour. It'd been nice to see what they've done.
Okay, back at her. Krisha, hit your mic, please. There we go.
So, yeah, as I was saying, as you can see in this map, the fenced area is shown in the dotted line on the right, and it's well behind the property line. And the fence is actually in line with the neighboring property to the right of this map. When you're looking from the road, it's actually on the left, and yeah, I am not sure what the distance from the front property line is, but it's well behind the required setback distance.
Councillor Chair.
Typically, a large fence like that in the middle of the downtown might not look particularly attractive, but I think it might deter some vandalism, somewhat, smash windows and things like that. People picking into vehicles a little bit, and in that back alley, I think it just might give a little bit more of a deterrence for, smash windows or something like that. Councillor Charney's right. And I think some people, if they really want to access the vehicles, might cut the barbed wire fence or the chain link fence, but I don't think it's unreasonable. It's a little taller than what we would normally allow at a home, but there are a number of vehicles with some value in there, and I think it would just be a gesture of goodwill since they've invested that kind of money and the building does look nice, so I support it.
I think if you had an 8 or 10 foot fence, people don't want to cut through the chain link, they'll just simply cut through it. It's just the way it is. Councillor Baxter.
So what you're saying is they've already built the fence in this area. They're just trying to be in compliance by fixing the zoning bylaw.
Councillor Petrosi.
Yeah, just wondering, have they had a lot of issues with break-ins there? Like just what with the fence they've got there now?
I don't,
Seems fine to
I
me.
don't think Krisha has that information.
Just what
We're
they've
not
got
a-
there now just seems fine to me. I don't-
Well, that's the
you know,
fence that
it's-
they've got is the 6 foot fence.
And that's,
Yeah, they haven't had any particular issues, but this fence for this kind of use of having their service vehicles in it is not unlike other fence heights throughout the community in similar properties to protect fleet. Right? If you think about downtown where there are fleet vehicles, where there are the companies with service trucks and service vans, they all have a similar height fence. So it's not unusual to see this type of fence in this type of facility. On the, even on closer to the frontage, like if you think about, trying to think of, right, the businesses right by the bowling alley, I'm particularly thinking of, they all have 6 foot fences and they're right up to the sidewalk. So their frontage has a 6 foot
and
fence.
this one's set back quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Krisha. 9.3, transit routes and rates. Recommendation that council approve an increase in transit fares as per option blank presented by BC Transit as of April 1st, 2025. Recommendation that council approves the reinstatement of routes 2 and 3 as per operations pre-November 2021. Councillor Richard, Councillor Baxter, all we have to do here now is figure out which option we would like. I would suggest 3 as well. I'll second the 3. Open to questions on anyone else? Councillor Charney.
I kind of wish that we could have had a bit of a hike in the rates for 2025. Inflation is going up, the cost of transit is going up, and yet the rates are not going up. I know that is Transit's decision, not ours, but it puts us more in a financial position to carry the burden for it. But of all of them, I guess I would probably go with option 3.
CEO.
Sort of point of clarification, that the rates do go up in 2025, but we can't do them until after March 31st because of the recovery funding from the COVID funding, restart funding, which ends in the end of their fiscal year. So we can't use it, we can't do anything until after their fiscal year is done, province's fiscal year
Okay.
is done. So as of April 1st, the rates won't be able to go up.
So even though the forecasted impact on revenue is 0, that's just the fiscal period, not the calendar year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any
And-
other? Oh, sorry.
So they would be going up to 225 or,
250.
well, all of them say $2 or 25, 26. So that carries over to there, 250. Okay. Okay.
It's a living document, I guess we could call it.
Okay.
Anyone else? Councillor Charney? All those in favor? Oh, yeah, we did. Well, council approves an increase in transit fares as per option 3 presented by BC Transit as of April 1st, 2025.
Sorry, that's a friendly amendment.
So you will have, that's a friendly amendment, so you'll have to confirm with the mover and
Mover and
seconder.
seconder, are you okay with that? Mover and seconder are cool with that. Councillor Richard?
Yeah.
You're
Option 3.
You're my, and then the other part, we council approve the reinstatement of routes 2 and 3 as per operations pre-November 2021. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Food bank development. Recommendation that council approve city staff formalizing a working partnership with the Nicola Valley Food Bank to assist with their build location at 1898 Blair Street and 2352 Colshuna Avenue. And second recommendation that council direct staff to move forward with securing contractors for a space use analysis and conceptual design and Class C budget and consultants for the food bank and housing build with a budget of up to $100,000. Councillor Petrosi. Councillor Petrosi. Councillor Charney. Questions? Councillor Chart.
I was wondering if as a council, if we were gonna go visit one of the locations in Squamish to tour the facility, if that's still on the table.
We'll call the director up. Oh, we got it.
The director has sent you out an invitation to attend to such a meeting. She sent out a request for dates that worked for people. She got some responses. And so I believe Councillor Baxter and Councillor Egan have responded.
I'll
Well,
have to check my.
when we
emails.
had that kind of roundtable discussion, I
Yeah.
thought there was gonna be some dates presented that were more concrete, because you had the 24th, 27th.
That was just done today.
Okay,
Yeah,
was
so
just done today.
it's out there. We'll let you know, make sure you know when it is. Little bus trip there, little bus trip back.
okay. Just because at last time it was kind of up in the air for a lot of people's schedules, so that's why I thought I haven't gotten to see any email if there was one
We will
today.
confirm with you in the morning.
Because there's also, I think a session on the reform, legislative reform on the same day of the 28th. That's what I was wondering, just for clarification, but, oh, thank you.
Councillor Petrosi.
Just wondering, the $100,000, how are we securing those funds? Is it under a grant or?
So this would be part of our Treasury Board funding to support post-flood housing recovery. So it comes out of the housing money that we have has been transferred from flood recovery to our new housing department. So it comes out of that fund. So there's no cost to the ratepayers. And it is to support the additional development of affordable housing post-flood.
Thank you. Councillor Charney.
I had the same question as what's his name, Councillor Petrosi. So
What's his face?
brain fart. So I'm glad you answered that, but we have not entered into an official agreement between the two. So what I have a concern is putting forward this $100,000 before we have anything official between the two of us, no signed agreements or anything. So I'm a little skeptical about putting forth that money when there's nothing in place.
I can answer that, but I'll let CEO answer.
We're just asking you for a budget for the work so that once the official agreement is in place, so we will have agreement drafted by legal, we will have people sign it, and this is our start budget to start moving forward once we have that agreement to start helping to develop those conceptual plans. We're not gauging at this point anything more than that $100,000 to develop a conceptual plan.
Okay, so it will be secure if an agreement doesn't
Yeah,
come forth.
the money is not leaving our coffers. We will be hiring the consultants and we will be paying directly from the city. We won't be transferring the money to the food bank.
Yep.
So it's not going anywhere.
Okay, but you will be spending that $100,000. Oh, you're waiting.
Once the
Mhm.
agreements have been
Okay, so
made.
we're just approving the 100,000. You're not going to spend anything until the agreement is reached.
Yes. And if anything should happen, we're not transferring money to another organization.
Yes.
We're holding it and project managing it. So if something happens and the agreement is no longer, for some reason, doesn't work out, we won't be spending additional funds. We'll have the opportunity to end a contract.
Okay.
It's safe.
Okay.
Any other
Sure.
questions? Councillor Charney? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 9.5 Economic Development Report. Recommendation that council receive the January 24, 2025 report of the Chief Administrative Officer entitled Economic Development for Information. Second recommendation that council direct staff to schedule a committee of the whole to support discussions for prioritization of items within the 2022 to 2031 Economic Development Strategy. Councillor Petrosi, Councillor Baxter, questions on this? Councillor Charney.
I really appreciate the depth and all the work that's gone into this, but I have a lot of concerns. I have a lot of questions. There are at least 13 sections that are asking for money, either for analysis or studies, et cetera, et cetera. So right now we're looking at a budget and we're trying to reduce the increase in the taxation. And yet in this document, we're spending a lot of money.
Speculatively spending money. Speculative.
Budgeting. They've asked for budgeting. So therefore, we have to put that money aside for budgeting. So that's what I have a lot of concern about, is, you know, like an example, budget for annual Spirit Square improvements. And the Spirit Square, all the improvements in the Spirit Square, yet there's a statement there, this type of activity is currently very challenging in the downtown location due to various social issues that are prevalent in this area. So to me, before we even think of putting any money into a study, a survey, analysis, whatever, that has to be resolved. So how it gets resolved is beyond my pay grade.
That's
But
what you pay me for.
but I think those type of situations have to be resolved first before we spend money. You know, and then budget for annual improvements and maintenance to the land between Spirit Square and Colchana Avenue. Again, we're budgeting, we're putting money aside, but right now we're tight. We're really tight. And you know what, I like a lot of this, I really do, but I think that we have to be very cognizant of when we start putting this into place. When we are, you know, I think if taxpayers, you know, have a choice of some of these options and their taxes going up, I think they're going to say, no, let's put this on hold till our budget is in a healthier position.
Well, I think we're not going to be doing all this at the same time.
Oh, I agree, but I mean.
It goes to 2031.
Yeah, but I've just
So-
got 13 here that, you know, they all require money.
Well, everything requires money.
Yeah, I know.
There's nothing
Yeah.
that doesn't require money.
That
Mr.
breathe.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, CAO.
So I think if you'll note in the briefing note that I think this document is relatively unrealistic for the city.
Mhm.
So this economic development strategy was developed pre this council and pre this administration. This is an
Oh.
unrealistic document. There are too many steps. There's too much based on our financial situation.
I agree.
And for a community this size, and for the human resources that we have available to do the work. So that's why I'm bringing it to you and asking to you, do you want a session of committee of the whole to really dig into this document and start prioritizing where things happen and what things go outside of the 10-year window? Some of these things can't be in this 10-year window because we certainly can't afford it. So what we're trying to do though, is what I wanted to show you a little bit there was you'll see that there is work being done on it. And there has been work done over the last couple of years on this document since it came into effect, but it hasn't been really strategically done. It's been hit and miss, right? So which parts of this are really feasible? Some of them are really important and we'd love to do them, but are they feasible?
Yeah.
Right? And so we have to go through this and determine what is actually feasible. And you'll see that, you know, with the funding that we have some external funding, we have our labor market study, which is underway. We have our strategic marketing plan that is underway. We will be doing our placemaking project in the spring. We have our housing funding. So there's to do our housing action plan. So we have a number of these projects underway that'll tell us how we're going to actually do the things in the plan. Because that's what the plan doesn't show. And no disrespect to the people that do these plans. Somebody developed a plan. It worked for community. They tweak it. This is not necessarily appropriate, every single thing. There's something in there about changing or encouraging people to start growing orchards and vineyards,
Yeah, I got that one down.
right?
too.
Is that regionally appropriate for us? I don't know. And is that something that we're going to invest time and money on? So that's what we need you to prioritize. So we're definitely not asking you to make any budget decisions at this point. We're not asking for anything to go into the budget. And quite honestly, almost everything in that plan is going to have to be externally funded. Other than, you know, there's stuff like budget maintenance money for infrastructure. Well, that's actually what a municipal government is for, is to budget for water and sewer and roads and sidewalks, right? Those are things that are important when you're trying to attract businesses and residents. But that's actually our job. So I don't know that it needs to be in the economic development strategic plan, because you'd be failing as a council if it wasn't getting done into the budget, put into the budget. So yeah, this is kind of, I want you to see what's been happening with regards to economic development. And I want you to understand that ECDev is a long-term sport. This is the ultra marathon of municipal governments, right? It takes years to find, people say, oh, we've got an economic development officer, we've got an economic development strategy. How come I don't see anything? Because it can take a year. Like if you think about our new building that's going up, that process to get them here took well over a year. And they wanted to come here. So to go out and chase other investment opportunities into the community takes a long time. To develop a tourism network takes a long time. To develop marketing tools takes time, right? So it is the long game of municipal government, of a municipal organization is ECDev. Probably in my tenure here, if I retire someday, when I'm 60, I think it was like past 65 because of the age of my children, but I'm not going to see all the benefits of this in my tenure here, because it is a long-term plan, and we have to start thinking more realistically about what can we actually do. And so this is an opportunity for you to have here's a strategic plan we paid for it. Here's what's happening with it. Here's a review. Are we in the right place? Have we prioritized the right things? So.
And I appreciate you saying that it has to come to the committee of the whole, and that we should pick and choose, because I think there are some very good things here. You mentioned the growing of the orchards, vineyards, and beverage production. Like I put down, like I'm going to go to Nicola Ranch and say, you know what? You got a really nice hill there. You should put vineyards in. It's not our jurisdiction. It's not our business what they do there. So, things like that I think can just be thrown right out. And so, yes, I would like to look at this document and stream it down and pull things that are practical and that we can do without a lot of money.
Councillor Richard.
First off, CAO, you mentioned that this was put together by the former council, but it actually was done by our former CAO before he left. A lot of the stuff was kind of done in an open room with kind of some notes, and it was just before Claire died. I don't know if you guys remember,
Oh, yes, I
but
do.
there was some issues that happened in that June. So of course, Councillor Baxter wasn't here and Cynthia wasn't here, and I can't remember if Linda was back yet, but anyway, the point is that this was kind of put together to kind of have a plan. And it was done with this council, but a lot of the people that are here now, there's been a lot of change, and it was just some ideas that were put up there. And of course, not everything applies. I didn't really like that it was kind of put together the way it was and when it was, because if you're leaving as CAO, I didn't think it was the appropriate time. I do remember that he had put some of those ideas together, and I thought, well, it didn't really make sense to work on this plan with the outgoing CAO. But I do agree that some of these things are appropriate and some of them aren't, and some of them are just an idea to kind of have going something to work towards. But I mean, obviously not a lot of these are realistic because of the funding requirements and the availability of time and staff effort and everything like that. But I just wanted to say that this plan was drafted before the other CAO left, and it was with this council.
No, it wasn't. It was approved by the previous council and brought to you for review near the beginning of your tenure.
Well, it may have been
for
changed.
prioritization.
It may
Yeah.
have been something that was drafted by the old council and then it was updated in the committee because Claire was there.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if you remember,
No,
but
I do remember, yes.
yeah, because it was redrafted.
It wasn't,
essentially.
it was, you guys were given an opportunity to start talking about your priorities, but I don't think you were given a full picture, and which is why I'm bringing it forward again.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say it wasn't, yeah, well, not to this level, because it was all kind of, Sean always had everything on a whiteboard. I'm just saying.
And in Sean's defense, he, at that point in time, didn't realize he was leaving. He had an inkling that he might be, but he wasn't sure.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that it was kind of a refresh of what had maybe started then, but it wasn't just that this council hadn't discussed it, but everybody was so fresh in the role that I think that it's a lot nicer to review it now,
Oh,
having
that-
been here for a couple of years. Anyway,
Councillor Baxter.
I would like to do it in a meeting of the committee of the whole, just go over it and get rid of things that are not relevant to Merritt or.
Well, I would say
feasible.
don't throw this away. Put it in your back pocket because, yeah, we need to go over it. Councillor Charney.
Can we do it in the committee of the whole? Don't we can't make decisions in the committee of the whole.
You can make
can we?
suggestions
Oh, so,
and it would come to the next meeting.
okay, so,
Yeah, you'd be able to have a more fulsome discussion because it would be the topic of committee of the whole. And then whatever direction you give us, we would draft a new document or some resolutions for you to vote on in the
Okay.
next meeting.
okay.
Councillor Charney. Just push a button. There you go. See it.
And this document that I've handed out to you today was a document that we finalized last week that I wanted to show you because it is part of the economic development plan to develop these types of documents. So we actually sent this out to, we've sent one out with some actual data for some properties for an investment opportunity to the ministry. So this was something that Development Services, myself and our communications manager worked on and put together. So great job to Kim Mullins, our communications manager, on this particular document. So this is a template for how we would send out if we have a potential investment opportunity. We would send this out. When we do our strategic marketing plan, we will be able to customize it for different sectors that we might be trying to attract with specific land issues or specific resource needs. Our regional economic development person from Jetty, we just spoke to him today. He's actually using this as his new gold standard and sharing it with other communities. And we've had another community that might be interested in us supporting them in developing such a document. A community that is recovering from natural disaster and doesn't have an economic development officer or marketing team would like our support on this. So this is where we're starting to show the skill and talent that our Merritt staff has to be able to develop something like this and be able to support other smaller communities.
You'll also understand that it's a living document. There's going to be some of the city lands put in there as well. And we're going to market everything about this community as far as investment in there. So that'll be a one-stop document when somebody says, hey, what are you, and we can hand them that and everything's there. Councillor Trent.
Excellent. I really like it. And it's all in-house.
Yep.
Perfect. I agree with that.
Yep.
Except the
Job well done.
emergency room picture, you know, is little.
Well, that was the day it was closed. One of 40 times. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 9.6, 2025 BC Hydro Community Regreening Program. Recommendation that the January 21st, 2025 report of the grant coordinator entitled 2025 BC Hydro Community Regreening Program be received for information. Councillor Petrosi, Councillor Baxter, any questions on this? It's kind of right in front of you there. Councillor Charney.
So if we get the money and all of this greenery is put around, then our maintenance will be responsible for maintaining it.
Careful what you wish for.
I know, well, that's what I just want to make sure that
Free money is good, though.
that we have the ability to maintain it once it's up.
That'll be your call. Well, come to council, right? Well, it will be. It'll come to council, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we give permission. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 9.7, Silga resolutions. To bring forward and discuss any proposed resolutions to be submitted to Silga UBCM. CO, you were jotting down every once in a while when we were spewing stuff out. Do you have that in front of you, or I think we had a couple we were talking about?
I don't have that list in front of me, unfortunately, tonight, but we will be bringing that. We can review the ones that you guys have noted in the past and certainly bring those forward for your consideration at the next meeting.
Okay.
If there's anything else that you would like to bring forward, this is definitely the time to do it, because then we can start making the preparations to bring that resolution forward for you to vote on.
CO,
So can councillors email you ideas?
Yes,
Thank
please
you.
Feel free to email me.
okay, thank you. Good. Notices of a motion. Actually, we probably would do a preemptive new business here. Councillor Chort has a question.
Well, at the last Silga convention meeting, we had discussed that we'd have to have a motion to approve where to do the donation for the Silga conference, which was a 50-50 draw that would be done during the convention. So we have to pass a motion for approving as a group where we'd like that donation to go. And I think the discussion was to donate it to the Breadbasket group. And we'd need to have their legal name, as the donation would have to go to a legal entity. But I think it was discussed that probably it seemed the most appropriate community enriching group that's needing support and funding. So we could draft something like that. They just want us to approve it in a meeting so that by the time we have the convention in April, early May, that,
I guess this would be a notice of motion.
yeah,
Yeah, so notice of motion. So notice of motion.
that we agreed to donate the funds from the Silga Convention 50-50 draw to the Breadbasket soup bowl. I'm not sure of their legal name, Breadbasket Soup Bowl.
I think they call themselves the Merritt Soup Bowl now. That's what I see on the sign.
Yeah.
So, unless that's just a moniker. Yeah, we'll talk to Mike.
So that's a motion that we'd like to present, but I'm just not sure what the legal name is of the entity.
We'll find out. You had one other question?
Not question, just in the reports, just discussing stuff about Silga. So
Thought you wanted to talk about your possible reinstatement.
well, for Silga, they're going to be calling for nominations for the board for 2025, and that's a council decision to make. So I was also just wondering if anybody else wanted to put their name forward, or if you guys would be okay with me running for that again. But it's not, this is not in the section for motions. That's why I thought we would.
It is a notice of motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To support your.
Yeah, Candace, yeah.
So that would be next meeting.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other notices of motion? NCO, I'm sure that if you need to, you'll get a hold of that. CAO update.
So your fairly standard fire department council resolutions and CPO report are there. The big thing I had worked on for you was some updates on this marketing plan or the economic development plan. You'll continue to see throughout the year where we'll bring some updates on some of these council passed larger documents. I think the next one that we're addressing is the recreation master plan, because we have a planning document that was approved. I can't remember what year. 2019, maybe 2017. You know, we want to make sure that's still appropriate. And if there are things on that we can prioritize within our financial situation without, you know, you're supposed to review these documents and we don't always have to go out to consultants to renew them. We can renew them internally. And I think these are the kind of opportunities you're going to get to see with some of these strategic plans and master plans and such things, is for us to just look at them internally and renew where we are priority wise and what is feasible for the community. Couple of other things, our new EVs have arrived. They're outside in the parking lot. I have the keys to the city hall one, but nobody drives it until I do, and I haven't had time yet. We will be having the consultants who are doing our strategic marketing plan in the community on February 10th and 11th. They'll want to meet with council to discuss what their work is. They will also be meeting with other community members that we're identifying as key informants, hopefully leaders from our Indigenous government neighbors, as well as local, leadership, Chamber of Commerce, local businesses, those sorts of things. So we have a number of invitations that are going to start going out in the next couple of days for people to join us for that. So I think there's going to be 3 sessions, and they'll also meet with staff to talk about it as well. So that's coming up. Please don't forget that on the 30th at 12 to 2 and 6 to 8, there is an open house for council the budget for community members to come in and speak to council about the budget, learn a bit more about our processes and our requirements as a municipal government for how a budget is prepared. Then that budget will hopefully come to council in early March for its first and second reading. We will also be providing some additional information to council at the end of February from what we heard from those open houses, but also some updates on the what the proposed bylaw budget will look like, so that council has as much information as we can provide them in a meaningful way. I think that's it for that.
Any questions for the CEO? Moving on. Reports from council. Councilor Richard.
So I just, not a lot to report other than, we had the finance meeting, so we were discussing stuff for the upcoming open house. And also then the next day we had the SOGA convention meeting where we discussed a number of things, kind of wrapping up some of the plenaries that we have, speakers, what we have planned, and how some of the activities are going to be planned for the intended SOGA members. And we had discussed the 50-50 raffle, and then I think I had some other points that I wanted to bring up, and I seem to have forgotten them, but I'm sure that Councillor Charney would mention them. But it was a good meeting, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing what it's like to have SOGA in a small location, since normally it's in Kelowna or Penticton or Kamloops. So I think it'll be a nice opportunity for us to shine. I know that for some of the events, we were looking at maybe involving some of the youth for doing some of the volunteer groups, whether it be the grads or some other volunteer groups, to get them kind of involved with SOGA, to expose them to what is SOGA. And I think it will be a good opportunity for us to showcase the community and do the flood walk so that people can see how we were impacted. So that's a good opportunity. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Charney.
On the 15th, I think, Councillor Egan and Councillor Etchart and I participated in a recycling video, kind of pretty well laid back. So I'm not too sure when. I think it was going to be broken into 3 or 4 sessions because we rambled on and on and on. And we are going to do, well, don't laugh. We're going to do more of those videos. I think the next one might be fees and charges, just to lighten it up and just give a little more information to people. So hopefully, we're communicating a little more to the public. On the 21st, I went to ESS meeting, and we had CDART there, Canadian Disaster Animal Response Team. Excellent presentation from this lady who, when you have a disaster, you always hear about the dogs and the cats and the horses that have been left behind. Well, this group rolls in and they round them up and help however they can. It's quite an interesting organization, and I have a little package. So if anybody wants this package, you take it and you fill all the information on your animal, cat, dog, whatever it is, anything pertinent for it, so that if you do have, there is a disaster and you can't take your animal, that's put out, and it's all the information is there. So you're not thinking as you evacuate, well, my cat's allergic to this and it's got this and that, and no one's going to know about it. So all your animals is sort of taken care of. So if anybody wants that information from me, I can give it to the package to you, and you can fill it in, and hopefully you never have to use it, but it's there if you have to use it. I also attended the SILGA video conference with Councillor Etchart and Tony Luck. We asked Tony Luck if he would attend in person, and he will be coming the Friday morning to attend in person. And it was going to be a 10-minute presentation, but I think they're going to try and make it, because he is our local MLA and he was a former councillor, member of SILGA. I think they're going to try and bump it up to 20 minutes. And other than that, the arrangements are coming along pretty good. The usual discussion that takes sometimes the longest is the cups. What type of cups are we going to have for SILGA? And So I don't think we're having these. I think we're just going to have white plain mugs because the complaint is the coffee cups are little and people want big coffee cups.
First
To
world
get them through.
problems.
Yes, so, yes, so that, so Selga's really coming along nicely. Allison is retiring and Corinne is taking over and she seems to be spot on. Seems well organized and getting things done. So that's all I have.
Councillor Baxter.
I went to the Nicola Valley Transportation Society meeting on the 16th and then the finance meeting on the 16th. So other than that, nothing.
January 15th, I made my monthly visit to Nicola Meadows and met with the seniors, had lots of questions and lots of answers for them. Enjoy that. On the 16th, I had a phone call with Minister Osborne on the pilot program for the physician assistants, which is happening, I think, in Seashell or Squamish, one of the two places. Anyways, I asked her if Merritt could be on the pilot program for the year, that if there's an opening, we would like to be on it. So I got my foot in the door there as quickly as possible. I think it's a good step. At least it's a step. It's the first time a minister in 8 years has done anything. So for as far as the hospitals go, so it's kind of nice to see. On the 16th, I also had a finance committee meeting. And then on the 16th, I also had a food bank meeting, which was very enjoyable. Enjoy meeting with the food bank. On the 20th, I went to Meg O'Donovan's grade 11 social studies class. And part of their assignment was to design a city and how you would build a city, how you would finance it, the sewer and everything. So we got to look at all the diagrams and then we had a wholesome conversation on what cities, you know, the reality of what our city is and the reality of what their cities are. And it was really I enjoyed it. It was good to get involved with them. They had some great ideas and we had one gentleman there that said he would charge no taxes at all and he would just go on what tourists bring to this community. So I said, good luck with your bankruptcy thing. Anyway, it was a really a class that was very involved. Meg's got a great way of teaching her class. January 22nd, 23rd and 21st, 22nd, 23rd, I was at TNRD. We did strat planning and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Alien movies. Alien 3 is one of my favorite movies. There's a gentleman in there who runs a penal colony and he has a thing called, every time there's something goes wrong, he calls them all into a room and he goes, this is rumor control, here are the facts. So here are the facts. Again, this week, every Tuesday, I go to the food bank, I walk around the city, I talk to people. 2 Tuesdays in a row, I get the same comment and I'm gonna, I have to say something about it. Comment is that our directors have given themselves healthy raises. This is completely BS. I've let them know that that is a budgetary item that comes through council and that nobody gives themselves a raise unless it comes through council. So we'll lay that one to rest. The second one is that we offer free childcare to everybody that works for the city of Merritt. Again, another bogus comment. I put that one to bed as well. That does not happen. We don't offer childcare to anyone. And the third one is we have biosolids being trucked into the community. Again, we do not. There's a whole line of permits that have to be done. The province needs to be involved. The land use has to be approved. There has to be meetings all over the place. So tonight, I'm putting those to rest. None of those things are happening. So stop asking me the same questions that make no sense. I would appreciate it. Anyways, that's my soapbox. Anybody else? Oh, the gas buddy? Oh, I haven't gotten to it yet. I know. It's because we're 89 seconds away on the doomsday clock. That's what it is. What can I tell you? We have information items, 2 of them, year-end report and letter from the city of Kamloops, delinquent property taxes, which I think is about our 5th letter in support of that. So it's nice to see other communities. Well, we took it to UBCM last year. So I don't know if we take the same thing twice. But I think their comment was, they're $10 million in arrears on their outstanding. That's a lot of money.
And I did get a call from someone from the minister's office about this. So we're going to, so just be fun, a minute. We're going to kind of draft a little bit more information for them about why this is a concern, because the government of the provincial government did not realize it was a concern.
Actually, when we sat with the minister, she didn't even know it was happening.
Yeah, and so we had a lot of responses. The CFO put it out on like a conversation board amongst other CFOs. And I think 50 communities responded like, oh, yeah, this is a huge problem for us. And then you did present it to the minister at UBCM. And that's why we put it out there, because we were like, what do you, is it only us? Because that doesn't seem right. And so we have been receiving letters. Now we've got a call from somebody from the ministry inquiring about it, and we'll provide them with more information. But ultimately, this is the community charter is being opened up for amendments, and whether or not this is something that needs to be included, they will come to have discussions on. And so we'll be advocating for that.
Well done, council. Councilor Charney.
So to beat a horse to death.
Sure, why not?
Can we also bring it again to the UBCM and speak to the minister with regards to that same situation? Now that you've got other communities, now you've got more clout, so you can say, these communities have also supported us in our effort. So I think it would be worth it to speak with them again and have the support of the other communities behind us.
I don't think it would be supported, because when you do something like that, they send you a list of how many times it's been done. And I don't think they would recommend it to go.
Not a resolution.
Meeting with the minister.
So
Well, it'll be a new minister, so probably be a good
probably
idea.
be worthwhile. And every one of these community letters has gone to the minister's office. So every time a community sends us a letter saying that they're supporting it, they've actually sent that to the minister as well. So they're getting that information, but I think the information that the CFO got is super important for them to hear as well. So we'll summarize that for them, provide them some feedback on that.
Any other questions? We are terminated. Thank you all.
I just wanted